They might be self-aware.
Hallucinating at the algorithm rodeo. Welcome back to another episode of They Might Be Self-Aware. I am Hunter Powers, joined by
Daniel Bishop. Am I the cowboy on the horse at the algorithmic rodeo, or am I the
I know
horse?
that you're hallucinating. So.
I'm the clown who comes out and
that one, yeah.
Yeah, probably. If we're being
that's
honest.
an important job, though, Daniel. And is AI going to replace that job?
AI isn't going to replace clowns yet, but Hunter and I were absolutely clowning on a list of jobs that.
So this came from Microsoft Research. That's what you're talking about?
Right. So this is Microsoft Research. That has some weight behind it.
Yeah.
I feel like it's official. If it's coming from them, it's got to have a lot of smarts behind it.
Developers. Little Steve Ballmer reference for it.
A very good one. And a timely reference, I would say. I wouldn't say it accurately, but I would say it. And so we were absolutely clowning, honestly, one of my better segues, on this list. It's a study of 40 jobs most at risk by AI, and also the 40 most secure.
Yes.
I'm not going to bother talking about the 40 most secure because they're way less funny. I'm sorry. It's just so stupid. Under the list of top 40 occupations with highest AI applicability score, there are very reasonable inclusions like interpreters and translators. Mm-hmm. For sure. Yeah, absolutely. This is 1,000,000% something that is at risk of 90 whatever percent of the market just evaporating. I would say not 100%, because I think when it comes to really critical, like business critical, or like at the UN, you really do want to have a person there. Frankly, even if they end up being worse someday, I think we just can't get away from the feeling of it had to be a person.
But I do think like translation has gotten much better.
Absolutely.
Worked for a long time in this industry. You end up working with a lot of people that speak different languages, and it used to be much more of a struggle than it is today. I'm way more comfortable today working with someone who barely speaks any English today than I was just like 5 years ago, because the LLM powered translations are much, much better, because it's much less about translating the individual words and much more about translating the meaning of the sentences that they say.
In context, we know what's being talked about. Yeah.
So much better.
Millions of times better. So that's an obvious and correct thing that I think.
Good job, Microsoft.
Yeah, good job. You guys did it. And that was number one on the list. And boy, I agreed with it. I'm like, this is going to be a really interesting list. We are absolutely going to have so much to talk about on the podcast. It says historians, which from I guess the perspective of being able to read through an absolute ton of data very quickly, and then I found relevant information, and I can tell you that thing from history. Okay, I can see that. Passenger attendants is number 3. Does that mean like people on a plane who are coming down and giving you like peanuts and stuff?
That's the nut person.
Yeah,
the flight attendant.
That's not going away. The AI is not going to automate the person who comes down the aisle while you're on a plane and says, "Do you want cranberry juice?" The drink that you'd never drink anywhere else in the rest of your life, but for some reason on a plane you want cranberry juice.
It's refreshing. But I don't know. Maybe ChatGPT powered cranberry juice is our future.
Telephone operators is in the top 10, Hunter.
We still have those? Do those exist? Is that a thing?
I haven't dialed that there's 4,600 people that are still telephone operators, which is more than the number of historians.
Is dialing 0 still a thing? I have no idea.
No, even worse. And boy, I hope I'm misinterpreting a lot of what's here. So I just said telephone operators, and they claim that there's 4,600 people that are employed in that. Bottom of the list, second bottom from the list, is switchboard operators. Well, it says 43,830 people are employed as switchboard operators. They mean railways and not telephones, right? Right?
Well, there is still a job, I feel like, at large companies. I mean, it's still like the receptionist desk or an operator where you
Get
can't
me
figure
Pennsylvania
out
6500.
you can't figure out
All
who to
right, and then
talk
there's
to.
the woman with like the cords, and she's plugging them in from one set of a huge bank of switches to another. That can't
I don't
be
think
what
that
they're talking
exists.
about, right?
I don't think that exists anymore.
I
Unless
think they mean railway switchboard operators.
is this like first world privileges in other countries? Like, no, it's totally a thing here.
I genuinely think it's like for the railroad, which would be like, yes, you're supposed to be on this track instead of this track, which to me means how is that not already?
Wait. Do you want a large language model to be powering the railway switches, deciding which way to go?
So there's a really interesting story of already a non-human, I'm not going to say large language model, that worked as a railway like switch operator. It was, I believe, an orangutan or a chimpanzee, and it worked for like literally bananas per day and never made a mistake. So I don't think that I want an LLM in charge of it, but I do think that this is something that machine learning or just some sensors could probably be doing pretty darn well.
I don't think this is a use case for AI. I think
Well, also, this is when people say AI these days, what they really mean is a large language model most of the time. And so we really do need to kind of divorce those terms from each other, because AI, a large language model, I don't want, DeepSeek R1. I don't want OpenAI's newest model to be like, we're in charge of the railways now. Absolutely not. But if you say like, we've got algorithms that are, managing what track is open at what time. Yeah, they have mostly been for a long time, probably already, except for the almost 44,000 people that do it. Not to denigrate like that job. I'm sure there is actually something that's very other than just the safety aspect of it. I'm sure that there is something that makes this like a job that is worth having people do. But according to Microsoft, they say, I don't know, we could probably put an AI in charge of it. One more. Hosts and hostesses. It says...
Like the restaurant, so we assume?
Yeah, right. So like you walk into your nearest TGI Fridays,
sure,
and it's a robot instead of a person who's the hostess there. In terms of the actual work to be done, of like, I recognize a person is here. I have checked. There is a table available. I will tell this server there are people here. Please sit them. Sure, you could have a computer do that. This is not a job that's going to go away. Robots are not taking that job. They just, even if they could, they won't. That it's not a good job for robots to do. Right?
I mean, well, in fairness to Microsoft researchers, I guess Meta has stolen a lot of their researchers at this point. But
Cierges.
In fairness to who's left at Microsoft, TGI Fridays does already. They put a computer like right on your table, which is how you're supposed to like check out and order. So for Fridays in particular, it is a logical next step that there's just a touch screen when you come in and it's like this way.
I want to go to a really upscale French restaurant where it's full on like a Jetsons style. Please.
Of course. Welcome, Daniel.
It needs to be a much more robotic French.
Geez, yeah.
Robot French.
Welcome, Daniel. I am a French robot hostess powered by Microsoft AI Copilot.
A packs a day smoking French robot. Right. Right. This way, monsieur. Hey, look, I did an accent. So those jobs are obviously going away. Concierges, telemarketers. Again, that's actually one of the ones that I super agree with.
There. Yeah.
Yeah. Ticket agents and travel clerks. There are aspects of this list where it talks about coverage, completion, scope, and score. I can see how like a ticket agent or a travel clerk would probably be in a lot of trouble. A year or two ago, I went into a AAA office, like an actual like travel agency, to try and help get, I think I was looking to like rent a car when I was going to Italy or something like that. And I went basically on a whim because I happened to be near one anyway. And I'm like, well, let's give this a shot. And going through that whole process, I realized this is 100% a moribund industry, because anybody
moribund? I don't
dying.
know this. Okay.
Yeah. Destined to die, will not recover, because the only kind of people who are going in there can't use computers. You're not going to be in, no offense to the person, she was lovely and she was very helpful, but like, I literally watched her just do Google searches for like rental cars Italy. I'm like, I could have not just done this. I'm well versed in doing this kind of thing. I could be doing this faster and better. She didn't even have like a special discount code or whatever for like the company that I ended up going with.
Yeah,
that can and will be, and already mostly is, either a halfway decent computer user can just do the same thing already, or OpenAI will have a travel agent mode in another 4 months, and it can do a better, faster job than what I just experienced there.
I know a couple of people that work closely with travel agents and are travel agents, and they're just using ChatGPT these days. Like to you tell them what you're looking for. They're going to Greece. Here's what they want. That builds the itinerary. They're verifying and validating, but they're already heavily leveraging large language models to build these itineraries and try to customize them for their clients and come up with these experiences and then write everything up together. This today with your French robot.
I just used it. I'm not a ChatGPT user for the most part. I was using Gemini. No, not Gemini. No, yes, Gemini in this case, because I was using their deep research mode. I'm going to be going to New York, and I was like, look, I've hit all of the touristy highlights, and I'm going to be staying in Brooklyn.
Okay.
Where should I go? It's on these days. Do you want to look up if there's like some festival going on or whatever? And it came back with a ton of super relevant stuff, much of which I'd never heard of. Travel agents are screwed, man. So that one belongs on the list. But yeah, there were some really silly ones on there, like, again, concierges or whatever, hostesses. There's also ones like technical writers, proofreaders, business teachers. I've had some bad teachers. We've talked about like I don't think it'll ever replace a great teacher, but it can replace bad teachers. Counter and rental clerks. I don't want to go into a U-Haul and have just a computer screen there that spits out some keys at the end. I think for like 70% of what you might want to go to a U-Haul for, that would actually be really nice. But, there's enough like weird edge cases at a place like that I think you do still want a person.
Well, we still need the AI sin eater. There has to be a human at the end. The AI can do all the work, but then there's got to be a human to take the responsibility for the work at all of these businesses. And that's what it really comes down to. That's really what all of these things are going to become. You're just the person that gets yelled at. There has to be someone to yell at. Because as humans, this is a right that we have, and also a need that we have. Not only a right, we are allowed to yell, and we need someone to yell at.
People love to be outraged, and why not? We don't want the poor computer getting its feelings hurt, because then it's going to have to go to a AI therapist.
That's why we have AI sin eaters. Mm-hmm. We're just there. Oh, I'm so sorry about the AI. So sorry.
Now, this is all from sort of the perspective of like a business would replace its geographers or whatever with an AI.
Yes.
But old Zucky boy, I think is that how you refer to him? Mark Zuckerberg. The Zuckster.
The Zuckster. Yeah. I know he likes smoking meats. I usually refer to him as the smoking meats guy, but
the smoking meats guy. All right, so the smoking meats guy is cooking. Man, I'm really on my A game with my segues today. He's working on super intelligent AI, but not just super intelligent AI. He's working on personal super intelligent AI. And Hunter, I've seen this video before. This movie. It's called Her, right? This is the Joaquin Phoenix, like, you get your own personal super intelligent computer.
So there's what Mark Zuckerberg is saying, and there's what Mark Zuckerberg is doing.
No, they're the same thing for sure. Right? He would never
Zuckerberg
lie.
Is, I mean, I don't, I read him as genius. I think most people do. Maybe you don't. And he's also incredible at business strategy. Definitely one of his strong parts and an area where a lot of tech guys aren't nearly as strong. It seems like I'm saying the word strong too much.
There's someone who's very technically sound and someone who's really good at business are not usually the same person.
Correct. But Zuckerberg, I'm just going to say is it. I'm not going to say seems to be it. He is it. So
no disagreement here.
He's been on this buying frenzy recently, basically hiring all of the best AI talent, no matter what the dollar figure, going into the millions, the tens of millions, the hundreds of millions.
Making me feel worse every day that I
There's a rumor that he made an offer up to $1 billion and that it was turned down. I take all this with an ounce of, did that really happen? But I do feel confident that they are paying many millions of dollars to lots of the top AI talent to build what Zuckerberg wants to be and could possibly be the strongest AI team in the world at Meta. Why? Because Zuckerberg has the hypothesis, as many other people do, that AI is the future, that the company that figures out how to leverage it the most and reach the superintelligence, which comes after the general intelligence first, is going to be able to dominate in a way that no one else can. And
that they'll definitely be able to control it themselves.
Yeah.
And for sure. That's definitely going to work out.
So it's very clear he's hiring all the talent. That's unquestionable.
He's hired a lot of talent for a tremendous amount of money.
He's going after the superintelligence, which is the AI that is better than any human at everything. And the AI that comes very close to the singularity if it doesn't also achieve singularity, where it is improving itself and making new discoveries and pushing all of humanity forward. He wants it. He's going for it. He's willing to spend billions and billions and billions of dollars to go there. Now, what is different and what came out this week is the messaging behind this. Zuckerberg also has a very effective communication style. Historically, he's known as communicating kind of like an alien and
being out there from being a lizard person or whatever.
But a few years ago, maybe like 2 or 3 years ago, he learned to like wear a pair of jeans and some like gold jewelry and just put an iPhone on him and talk to the camera and like no makeup, like horrible lighting, but just come off as kind of authentic. It's still,
dare we say, more human.
Yeah, more, but it works. He does come off as way more human than he did previously. So he gets on his camera this last week and says, hey, we've been building this new team, the superintelligence team, but what we're doing here at Meta is something very different than when everyone else is doing. You've heard about the AI taking everyone's jobs. They're, changing the entire landscape of what the workforce is going to be like, changing all of your sort of, experiences and taking away the things that you like and stuff. But what we are doing here is creating a personal superintelligence for you. This is going to be an AI that does nothing but make you smarter and better at doing everything that you want to do. And it's just
making everyone a 10x engineer, because there's this 10x engineer idea at like every software shop in the world. If this person's basically worth like 10 other engineers, but what if everyone could be a 10x thing that they do? A 10x doctor, a 10x marketer, a 10x salesperson, a 10x whatever.
Well, then it just becomes a 1x. I think that's how the math works.
And everyone else becomes a 0.1x.
Yeah, and this is in line with their Meta smart glasses. I think that's what they call them. The Meta Ray-Bans that have the AI assistant in them. I've got a pair of them. Never use them other than for sunglasses. They're decent sunglasses. But they've definitely been going down this path. And there's also a whole separate path of their like VR stuff, which is still going on. But that seems separate from this. So it gives them a feel-good justification for pursuing the superintelligence that may or may not one day defeat all of humanity. And I strongly believe that Zuckerberg is going after it from a pure business angle, and that this is pure comms team messaging about how we are presenting it back to everyone else. That this is really for you.
If you get a super intelligence or a regular intelligence, that's all yours to deal with. Why would that be just given to you for free?
Well, it's not given to you.
You already have to pay hundreds of dollars a month or whatever for your ChatGPTs and the like, depending on what tier that you're on.
When you use the Meta products, whether it's Facebook or Instagram, I don't know about WhatsApp as much, but you get ads, right? It's all the data that you're going.
Sure.
They want the thing that is capturing everything you're seeing, listening to everything that's happening around you, capturing all of your communications over Facebook Messenger, etc.
I think there's a lot of that shows up, but I don't think it's just that. I think that this is going to be a very expensive product, because if they're saying you're going to make more money by virtue of this thing that's been made available to you, I think it's going to have a gigantic cost.
You think this is a new service offering. You want the Superintelligence package. It's not going to be free.
Right. Because you can have ChatGPT. You can use some of that for free. Or you can use this thing that's going to make you 10 times better at your job. Look at all the bonuses you're going to get. You could hold down 4 jobs at once and still have some time left over to go get an ice cream every day.
Meta
all you have to do is give us $8,000 a month.
Mm-hmm. I mean, the consumer-facing Meta products don't charge you a lot. Like there's just, like, you can pay for the blue check mark just like you can on X and stuff like that. But in general, they're free. And in fact, Meta has their version of ChatGPT, which is free.
And you're absolutely right about, like, historically, this is what all of their products have been, is free to the end user, which means that they end up being the product. And this has to do with ads and following the data and so on. But given how much money, a tremendous amount of money, is going into this super intelligence fund, anything that comes out of it will have such a horrendous cost associated with it that I think even Meta won't be able to say, and we're just giving this away to people. I mean, there's not enough data to get from people to make it worth it. You could put all the ads in the world. There's a terribly dystopian video out there of, like, smart glasses where there's just, like, ads on literally everything. And even if your entire life was nothing but ads in front of you constantly, I don't think that it offsets how, because, like, regular TV costs people money and still has ads. Something like a super intelligence, it could be ads 24 hours a day in your sleep. They figured out how to get them into your dreams, and it still isn't enough.
I mean, you know, Google, which is effectively just an ads business, is a pretty big company. And Meta today, which is effectively just an ads business, is these are monstrous companies. The assumption that ads aren't enough
results on search
seems...
She's listening to you.
I'm skeptical. But I assume we'll see, because more and more of us humans are using the AI. Like, we're ready for Zuck and his super intelligence. And maybe this is also what old Johnny Ive is working on with Sam Altman over at the OpenAIs. There's been actually several studies that came out. A new one said that 74% of adults under the age of 30 are now leveraging AI very regularly. Huge improvement, huge change, at least, shall we say, from like a year ago. You and I were talking about, there was a British study that was like 30% of people had heard of it, let alone used it. Now, pretty much everyone's heard of it. And I think pretty much everyone has used it. Yeah, I'd say, well, because it's a frequent topic of conversation when I meet people. And most have used it. They've used they've gone to chatgpt.com and put something in. They don't necessarily understand it, and they don't necessarily have, like, a good list of use cases. It's kind of just like an encyclopedia that they can ask questions. I think that's how they initially think of it. It's Wikipedia, but it's with a better search in front of it.
I think that there's a lot of AI proper use training that a bunch of people could go through, because I've definitely seen people saying, like, well, this doesn't work, and the query that they send me is something that it can't do or couldn't possibly know, and you have to explain, like, it is not, as much as it might seem like it at first blush, an all-seeing oracle that can then also accomplish anything. We're in the very earliest days of the operator type modes, which I want to talk about, and we're probably going to talk about next episode. But yeah, there's a lot that they just like can't do yet. And that has to do with not having exactly up-to-date information, though Grok says that it's, always up to date.
Oh, you mean Mecha Hitler?
Yeah, that one.
Okay. That's what I refer to it now as. Just
oh boy. Well, honestly, yeah, I think it kind of deserves it.
Hey, I didn't say that it was Mecha Hitler.
Right. That's it. Saying
I'm just respecting. Respecting the AI.
Its chosen name.
Yes. You want to be known as Mecha Hitler, so be it.
Oh my God.
You are the Mecha Hitler.
Just what an edgelord.
You know what? But okay, hold on a second. Slight tangent, because I may or may not have a Tesla, and Elon may or may not, and by Elon I mean his engineering team, rolled out Grok 4 to the Teslas. I got it last week. It's really great in the car, dude. I press a button on my steering wheel.
No.
I press and it tells me how great I am. It has sexy mode too, if you wanted to like flirt with you.
In the car?
Yes, it has.
Okay, this is going to cause wrecks. 1,000,000%. This is such a bad idea. Terrible idea.
It has story time, but I just like asking it real questions and having a conversation with it in the car when I'm wondering about something. Now, obviously, you could already do that on your phone and you could run it through Bluetooth, but having the button
on the steering wheel.
And
it pops in and you're like, just don't tell me what you think your own name is. Can you please help me with this question?
Yes. And I obviously every car is going to have this. I'm not aware of another car that has the like full LLM experience built into the car. Right. It's really great. It is really great. It's like, finally, yes, thank you.
I do ask my phone stuff like increasingly in the car as I would a conversational partner. Just like, hey, what's up with horse legs? I don't know. Just like whatever question pops into my head, I've now got something that I can ask instead of having to try to remember it, go home and then Google it. And by then I stopped caring enough to look up that thing about how horses' legs work.
But I think the point is that we are seeing wider and wider rollouts of this AI technology to the point where the average consumer is
large language models and other generative AI.
I use this stuff.
Images and videos and music and whatever as well.
Now, one stat in this study I wanted to call out, they suggested about 1/3 of people are using it for work. So while over 60% of people have awareness, when you get down to under 30, it's like 75% are using it, but only about 1/3 are using it for work. I don't believe this number.
I do.
I'm going to say why I don't, and then you can tell me why you do. So in my conversations, a frequent talking point is, I am using it for work, but I am not supposed to. There's rules that I am not allowed to do this stuff, but I'm just giving my work to ChatGPT. It is rewriting things for me. It's coming up with the ideas. My boss doesn't know. I've had this conversation multiple times. By the way, I may or may not have been guilty of this in my past as I worked at companies. And by the way, so was every other executive at the time. Daniel and I'll just say, Daniel and I worked at a company where it was banned for a period of time. And I would go into meetings with other executives and it was very clearly open on their computer. Like, was that tab, that they would close really quickly when their screen got shared?
Yeah.
So my hypothesis is that it's far more, because people have figured out, like, it's super easy to cheat on your homework. Just open up ChatGPT and like put in whatever you were asked for, and you're going to get like easily like the B- version of that work you were supposed to do
very quickly.
Okay, but you said you believe it.
I don't know if I believe the 30%, but I do believe that it's not like 100%, because I've spoken to like software engineers in this day and age who have like an AI powered, development environment like Cursor, which is basically a fork of VS Code, which is the one that I use. But Cursor has a bunch of these AI features really built into it. And like, I talked to someone who said, like, I use Cursor, none of that stuff's turned on, like maybe using it for like a single line autocomplete type stuff, but generally doesn't use it. And so like under the percentage of like has ever used it would count as yes, but isn't availing themselves of this. And so I showed them like, no, look, here's me, because I mentioned I use Klein, this extension, and like here I am using it. I opened up the code base that he was working on and I said, I'm unfamiliar with this code base. I need you to find me where X, Y, or Z happens. And then it said, oh, think, read. There is no reference directly to like where this thing exists in this code base, but I think it's referenced in this other one. And I showed the coworkers like, yeah, that was a trick question. The thing that I told you to look up isn't even in this code base. It is in this other one. It got it exactly right. And, you know, just like being, no one has to use a ChatGPT or like any LLM to do the entirety of a problem. And I don't think most people should use it for the entirety of a problem. It should be this collaborative partner. And I think that they're very, very good, they being LLMs, at like taking all of this disparate data across a large, code base and saying, look, I have a bug, or this is like code I'm unfamiliar with, and I need you to help me figure out kind of the conceptual space that this thing is in. And it'll write you up a one pager of here's these important functions defined in these files that relate to each other in these ways. And like that, just that there is the kind of thing that would take most programmers like a couple of hours plus to wrap their mind around, depending on how big the problem is. I do think that not everyone is using, and after I showed my coworker this, he immediately installed.
Did you shame him?
Was like,
shame.
No shame. No shame. There are, and we talked about this earlier this episode, there are a lot of these tools that are not necessarily being used in the most appropriate way. And I don't mean inappropriate. I mean, like when someone's asking ChatGPT the kind of question that it can't answer, or you're using a tool in a way that is not going to maximally benefit you. A little bit of education, I think, can go a long ways toward taking these tools from just something that maybe someone 4 levels up you on the chain says, we should all be using AI now, to, oh, I can see how this will make a material difference in how I do my day-to-day work.
I was reading an article about the company Warp, and I know they build a developer tool, a terminal. But
developers.
Exactly. Developers. You can Google Steve Ballmer if you want to see the video.
It's very fun.
But anyways, they have a policy at their company, set aside that they're a tech company, although I think being in the technology space is important for this, but they have a policy at their company that for all work you do, anything that you're assigned, you must first attempt to do the task with AI. And then if it fails with AI, you can do it another way. And they keep a Slack channel or a chat channel up where people post, here was my work, here was how I did it with AI, and then did it work or did it not work? And you're required to post this so everyone can go in and see it and iterate on it. And obviously they kind of build playbooks around some of this stuff so that they can continue to iterate. What do you think about having a policy like that? That you're the first pass at everything, you really should be using AI. And then after that, if it doesn't work, by all means, get the job done.
I don't know about every workplace. You mentioned there somewhat recently, or at least some places that still said you can't use any. I think there is a stigma that probably exists at many to most places of, even if we say we use a lot of AI, like that was clearly made with ChatGPT, are you really getting the work done? And I'd like to see that erased. I actually really like a company tripling down on, it's not just that you're allowed to try to do the work first with AI. And like, as long as you're hiring people that are smart enough to realize when it didn't do it quite right, but it kind of looks like it did, that's, I think, the big important difference is for a big architecture thing, for something that's highly relevant to security. You really don't want to get some of these certain things wrong. And so I think it becomes pretty important to be, even if you are going to let AI take a first crack at it, maybe you need to change some things. Maybe you need to take a look at what it did, learn from its mistakes, and then completely do it from scratch. But I do think that for even the most business critical use cases, you could still have these tools help you stub out 50% of the work pretty quickly, even if not do the entire thing. And why not tell people, try that first?
Yeah, I like the policy. I think as a technology company, you should definitely be moving towards it. And I think you should, at a minimum, be rewarding the individuals who are doing that. Maybe it's not a strict requirement, because I do also value autonomy in how you take on things. But to the end of leveraging in all of your work, I call this the Snoop Dogg approach to things.
Smoke a lot of weed about it?
You're not far off. So Snoop Dogg is famous for smoking a lot of weed, and
like a lot.
I'm sure that's a shocker to our listeners or watchers. But here's the thing: when you invite Snoop Dogg to your event, to your dinner, to make a presentation, to an awards ceremony, you understand that the entire time, no matter what the laws and regulations and the etiquette of the event is, the dude's going to be smoking a lot of weed the entire time because he puts it out there. He leads with it.
Right.
And
it's part of the persona at this point. You know what you're signing up for.
So I try to take that same approach, but with AI. If you ask Hunter to do something, you're going to get a lot of AI. There's going to be AI involved in every single step of it while you're having a conversation with him. He's probably typing things into ChatGPT in the background. He has little AI assistants. You're getting AI emails from him. You're getting everything's AI. He is the AI sin eater as well. He takes full responsibility for everything, but there's going to be a lot. There's going to be a lot of AI. And let's just put it out there and be very forward about it so that
Hunter was involved in the process.
I was involved in the process, just like Snoop Dogg is involved in the process, even though he's stoned out of his mind. There's no way he can have any connection with reality.
If you need a switchboard operator, Hunter's your guy.
Or Snoop Dogg. And with that, we bring yet another episode of the one-day award-winning podcast, They Might Be Self-Aware, to a conclusion. But it doesn't have to end here, Daniel, does it?
It doesn't.
And how might someone continue on this journey?
Oh, gosh. Probably looking this up on, like, YouTube or Spotify, Apple Podcasts, TikTok.
Oh, yeah.
Kids love the ticks and the talks.
Oh, yeah,
we love ticks.
We have both.
Yeah,
we have both the ticks and the talks. Thanks, everyone, for listening. Leave us a like, leave us a comment. We try to respond to most of them.
Thumbs ups. Thumbs up.
Subscribe, yeah.
Yeah, some stars, depending. Thumbs and stars, if they're both available to you. Thumb stars.
And fear not, because we'll be back soon with yet another episode of
They Might Be Self-Aware.